Something felt different the moment Prince Harry arrived in Britain. Not because of what anyone said. Because of what no one seemed willing to do. There were no photographs of a family reunion, no reports of private meetings behind palace walls, no reassuring signals that years of public tension had finally begun to ease. Instead, every appearance seemed to raise another question. Had something changed inside the royal family, or had the distance simply become impossible to hide? And there was another mystery quietly unfolding in the background. Why did this visit seem so carefully managed? Why were conversations reportedly taking place through aides instead of face-to-face? And why were royal watchers suddenly asking whether this latest chapter had become about far more than one trip to London? At first glance, Harry's return appeared straightforward. Official engagements connected to the Invictus Games had brought him back to the UK, and many wondered whether being on British soil might create an opportunity to rebuild damaged relationships. Instead, events moved in an entirely different direction. Before the public had time to focus on his appearances, another headline stole attention. Harry suffered a significant legal setback after the High Court dismissed his privacy claim against Associated Newspapers, one of several legal battles he has pursued over the past few years. The ruling immediately shifted the conversation. Supporters argued that Harry remained determined to challenge what he sees as unlawful media practices. Critics questioned whether another courtroom defeat would weaken both his public campaign and his standing at home. But that wasn't what truly caught observers' attention. It was what wasn't happening behind palace gates. For years, every visit to Britain has sparked speculation about reconciliation. Every arrival brings fresh predictions of secret meetings, family discussions, or some symbolic gesture suggesting that old wounds are beginning to heal. This time, those expectations quickly faded. Reports indicated there were no confirmed plans for a private meeting between Harry and senior members of the royal family. That silence became almost louder than any official statement. Then another familiar issue resurfaced. Accommodation. Ever since Harry and Meghan lost the use of Frogmore Cottage, where they once stayed during UK visits, questions have surrounded where Harry would base himself whenever returning to Britain. To many people, it seemed like a logistical issue. Others viewed it as something far more symbolic. Where someone stays can sometimes say more than where they're invited. As those conversations spread, another name inevitably entered the discussion. Prince William. Although neither brother publicly commented on the latest round of speculation, years of reported tension have left every royal development open to interpretation. Body language. Scheduling. Who appears where? Who doesn't? Even ordinary decisions often become headlines when viewed through the lens of one of the world's most closely watched families. Then, halfway through the visit, another layer emerged. Instead of focusing solely on Harry's legal troubles or accommodation questions, commentators began asking whether the monarchy itself had quietly entered a new phase. King Charles continues balancing constitutional responsibilities while receiving treatment for cancer. At the same time, Prince William has taken on an increasingly visible role representing the crown. That changing dynamic has naturally fueled questions about the monarchy's future. Not because of dramatic announcements, but because responsibility appears to be shifting gradually before the public's eyes. And that's where the story becomes more interesting. This was never simply about whether two brothers might meet. It reflected a much larger reality. The institution moves according to duty, planning and continuity, not personal emotion alone. Every appearance, every engagement, every absence is examined through that framework. Some royal commentators believe time may eventually soften family divisions. Others argue that trust, once broken publicly through interviews, documentaries and memoirs, becomes extraordinarily difficult to rebuild behind closed doors. Neither side can prove its case. For now, only the silence speaks. Harry continues focusing on the Invictus Games and the causes he has championed for years. William continues carrying out an expanding list of royal responsibilities, alongside Catherine's gradual return to public life. King Charles continues leading the monarchy through one of its most challenging modern periods. Those three paths occasionally cross in headlines, but they rarely seem to meet in person. Perhaps that's why every new visit creates so much speculation. People aren't simply waiting for another photograph. They're waiting for evidence that something fundamental has changed. So far, that evidence remains elusive. Whether reconciliation eventually happens, or whether history continues writing these brothers into separate chapters, remains one of the biggest unanswered questions surrounding the modern royal family. And until that answer finally arrives, every visit, every appearance, and every silence will continue to invite the same question. Is the next chapter already being written, or has the ending been decided long ago?